Have you ever wondered what it feels like to give your whole life to something, only to watch it nearly fall apart? Imagine spending decades building a career, creating unforgettable characters, making millions of people smile, laugh, and even cry. Imagine becoming one of the most recognizable faces in the world, loved by fans everywhere. And then, suddenly, the world turns on you. The headlines twist the story, the trust you gave to people closest to you shatters, and the money you thought was secure vanishes into thin air. At 62, Johnny Depp has finally broken his silence. And when he speaks, it's not just a celebrity gossip story. It's something deeper, something raw and human. It's about betrayal. It's about money. It's about lies. But most importantly, it's about resilience, the kind of strength it takes to survive when everything seems stacked against you. And here's the part that makes this story hit home. Johnny's journey may have played out in front of cameras, but the emotions behind it, those are universal. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've ever struggled with lies that people spread about you, or if you've ever had to fight to prove who you really are, then you know exactly how heavy that burden feels. So in this video, we're diving deep. We're not just talking about Johnny Depp the movie star, we're talking about Johnny Depp the human being, the man who had to stand up when the world tried to push him down. And by the end, you'll see why breaking his silence at 62 matters, not just for him, but for anyone who's ever felt silenced by life. Let's start with the first part of his story. Betrayal. And not the kind of betrayal you might expect, because this wasn't about enemies. It was about the people who were supposed to be on his side. Picture this. You've worked your whole life, and you've built an empire. You trust the people around you, the ones managing your business, the ones you call family, the ones you believe have your back. You give them control because you're busy doing what you do best, acting, creating, performing. You think they're handling everything responsibly. But then one day the mask slips. You find out the people you trusted most may have been the very ones tearing you down. Can you imagine what that feels like? To realize that the people closest to you weren't protecting you but hurting you? That betrayal cuts deeper than anything a stranger could ever do. Strangers can't break your heart. But friends, family, the ones inside your circle, they can destroy you from the inside out. That's what Johnny had to face. Now let's move into the second part of this story, the money storm. When people think about celebrities, they picture endless wealth. Millions in the bank, mansions, cars, private islands. And yes, Johnny lived a larger-than-life lifestyle. But here's what most people don't realize. Fame doesn't protect you from financial chaos. In fact, sometimes it makes you more vulnerable. Johnny didn't just lose a few dollars here and there. We're talking about millions, entire fortunes gone, mismanagement, bad contracts, legal battles that drained accounts. Suddenly, the man who once seemed untouchable was being dragged into financial quicksand. And here's the painful truth. It wasn't just about money. It was about what the money revealed. Money has a way of exposing things. It shows you who's really in your corner and who's only there for what they can take. For Johnny, money wasn't just paper. It was the evidence of betrayal. The paper trail that proved people around him hadn't been looking out for him, but for themselves. And then came the lies. The part of this story that so many of us can relate to, even if we're not famous. Think about a time when someone spread a rumor about you. Maybe at work, maybe at school, maybe within your own family. Think about how fast that rumor spread. How it felt like no matter what you said, people believed the lie before they believed the truth. Now multiply that by millions of people. That's what Johnny faced. The lies about him weren't whispers. They were front-page headlines. They were blasted across the world, repeated again and again until people started taking them as fact. Imagine waking up every morning, turning on the TV, scrolling online, and seeing your name tied to things you know aren't true. You can't run from it. You can't hide from it. And worst of all, you know that even the people who once admired you might be questioning who you are. That's the cruelest thing about lies. They don't just damage your reputation, they steal your peace. They make you doubt yourself. They make you wonder, will the truth ever catch up? Or will this lie be the thing that defines me forever? But here's where the story takes a turn. Because Johnny didn't let the betrayal, the money, or the lies be the final chapter. At 62, he chose to break his silence. And that choice says something powerful. It says that resilience isn't about pretending you're not hurt. It's about standing up after you've been knocked down. It's about looking at the world and saying, you don't get to write my story. I do, and there are lessons in Johnny's story for all of us. One of the biggest: protect your circle. Not everyone who claps for you is actually cheering for you. Some people clap because they want to look close to your success. Others clap because they're waiting for the moment they can take it away. Guarding who you let into your inner world is one of the most powerful forms of self-protection. Another lesson: guard your truth. Lies might spread fast, but truth has staying power. Think about it. Rumors might be exciting for a while, but eventually people get tired of them. What lasts, what survives, is the truth. Johnny's still here, still working, still creating. And that proves that lies can't erase who you are. And here's a pro tip for life, one that Johnny's story makes crystal clear. When betrayal hits you, don't waste all your energy trying to convince everyone of the truth. Not everyone wants to see it. Instead, focus on the people who really know you. The ones who don't need convincing. The ones who've seen your character and believe in you regardless of the noise. That's where your strength comes from. Now, let's slow down for a moment and really think about this. Put yourself in Johnny's shoes. You're 62. You've been through decades of fame, fortune, and scandal. You've lost money, trust, and even parts of your reputation. Do you walk away quietly? Do you disappear and let people think whatever they want? Or do you stand up, even if your voice shakes, and remind the world who you really are? That's the choice Johnny made. And it's not an easy one, because speaking up means inviting even more scrutiny. It means risking more judgment. But sometimes staying silent feels like letting the lies win. And Johnny decided he wasn't going to let that happen. So here's the question for you. If you were in his position, what would you do? Would you fight back publicly? Would you go to court, go to interviews, tell your side? Or would you stay silent and wait for time to reveal the truth? Think about that for a second, because it's a question that applies to all of us in different ways. We all face moments when people misunderstand us, misjudge us, or misrepresent us. And in those moments, we have to decide, do we speak or do we wait? Johnny's answer was to speak, and by doing so, he reminded us of something important. It's never too late to take your voice back. No matter how many lies are out there, no matter how much betrayal you've faced, your truth still matters. That message alone is powerful enough to stop anyone in their tracks. Because when you think about it, how many of us have moments in life when we felt silenced? Times when we wanted to say something, to defend ourselves, but fear, doubt, or exhaustion kept us quiet? Johnny's decision shows that silence doesn't have to be permanent. It doesn't matter if you're 22, 42, or 62, you can still reclaim your story. You can still step into your truth. You can still find your voice. And that's a lesson worth holding on to. So as we wrap up his story, here's my invitation to you. Take a step back from the screen for a moment and think about your own life. Who's really in your corner? Who are the people you can trust without question? And who are the ones you might need to guard yourself against? That's not an easy question to answer. In fact, it might feel uncomfortable, because sometimes the people who aren't really for us are the very ones closest to us. Friends, family, co-workers, people we share secrets with, people we've laughed with, people we've leaned on, and yet when pressure comes, when things get tough, they're not clapping because they want us to win. They're clapping because they're waiting for the moment they can take something from us. Think about that for a second. Have you ever had someone in your life who smiled to your face but whispered behind your back? Someone who was quick to celebrate your success in public but just as quick to tear you down in private? That kind of betrayal stings, because it's not coming from a stranger. It's coming from someone you trusted. And here's where Johnny's lesson becomes so relevant. Protect your circle. Be careful about who you let in. Not everyone deserves front row seats to your life. Some people are better off watching from the balcony at a distance. Because the truth is, your energy is precious. Your peace is priceless. And the wrong people can drain both before you even realize it. Now let's flip the question around. Who is in your corner? Who are the ones you can trust without hesitation? These are the people who don't need convincing when lies are spread about you. They know your heart. They know your character. They don't fall for rumors because they've seen who you really are. Take a moment and imagine their faces. Maybe it's a lifelong friend. Maybe it's a sibling, a partner, or even that one coworker who always has your back. These are your people. These are the ones worth protecting, worth cherishing, worth investing in. Because when life gets heavy, and it always does, these are the ones who remind you that you're not alone. But here's a hard truth. Most of us spend too much time worrying about the people outside our circle, the ones who don't believe in us, the ones who misunderstand us, the ones who spread lies about us. And in that constant struggle to win over the wrong people, we sometimes neglect the ones who are quietly standing with us, supporting us without needing proof. Johnny's story shows us that it's not about convincing the masses. It's about standing firm with the few who actually matter. The ones who won't walk away when the storm hits. Because storms will come. Rumors will come. Betrayals will come. That's life. But if you have the right circle, you'll always have shelter. Now let's take this even deeper. Think about your own truth. What does it mean to you? Because truth isn't just about facts. It's about your story, your identity, your values, the things that define who you are. Guarding your truth means refusing to let lies, gossip, or even your own mistakes erase that. Rumors are temporary. Lies are loud but short-lived. But truth? Truth outlasts all of it. That's why Johnny's still here. Still working. Still creating. Lies couldn't erase who he was. And in your own life, lies can't erase who you are either, unless you let them. So ask yourself, where do you stand with your truth? Do you guard it fiercely, or do you sometimes let other people's opinions rewrite your story? Because here's the thing. If you let others define you, you're handing them the pen to your life. And once they have it, they'll write whatever suits their narrative, not yours. Guarding your truth is about taking that pen back, saying, this is my life, this is my story, and no one else gets to tell it for me. Now, let's go back to that image of being in Johnny's shoes. 62 years old, decades in the spotlight, endless rumors, betrayals you never saw coming. Would you have spoken up, or would you have stayed quiet, hoping the truth would eventually shine through? There's no right or wrong answer here, because every one of us handles pain differently. Some people find peace in silence. They'd rather step away, cut ties, and let time do the talking. Others feel the need to defend themselves, to stand in the fire and shout their truth as loud as they can, and both approaches require courage. Silence takes strength. Speaking takes strength. The key is choosing what aligns with your soul. Johnny's choice was to speak. And by doing so, he reminded the world, and maybe reminded himself, that his story wasn't over. That's a lesson for all of us. Because no matter what you've been through, it's not too late to reclaim your story either. So let me ask you this. What lies have you been carrying? Not just lies people told about you, but maybe lies you've told yourself. Lies like, I'm not good enough. Lies like, I'll never recover from this. Lies like, my past defines me. Those lies are heavy. They weigh you down. And sometimes they're harder to silence than the ones others spread. But here's the truth. Your past doesn't define you. Your mistakes don't define you. Even betrayal doesn't define you. What defines you is what you do next. Do you stay broken or do you rise? Do you keep silent or do you speak? Do you hand the pen over, or do you write your own story? Johnny's story is one of rising, one of speaking, one of writing his own ending. And that's why it resonates so deeply. Because deep down, we all want that moment when we can finally take our voice back. Now think again about your circle. Take inventory. Who lifts you up? Who drags you down? Who tells you the truth even when it's hard to hear? Who lies to your face with a smile? These questions aren't just philosophical, they're practical. Because the answers determine your peace, your strength, and even your future. Sometimes protecting your circle means making tough choices. It might mean distancing yourself from toxic relationships. It might mean saying no when your heart wants to say yes. It might mean walking away from people you thought would be in your life forever. And that hurts. But remember this, losing people who don't really value you isn't a loss. It's a gain. It makes space for the ones who truly belong. So as we bring this home, let me leave you with a challenge. Over the next few days, pay attention. Notice who really shows up for you. Notice who listens when you speak, who supports you without needing something in return, who defends you when you're not around. And also notice who disappears when you need them most. That's your answer. That's your circle. And one last thing, don't forget to be that person for others too. Be the one who stands up when someone else is under fire. Be the one who believes in people when the world doubts them. Because loyalty, truth, and resilience aren't just things we look for in others, they're things we should embody ourselves. So let me ask again, if you were Johnny Depp, what would you have done differently? Would you have stayed quiet longer? Would you have spoken up sooner? Or would you have handled betrayal, money, and lies in a completely different way? Think about it, and share your thoughts in the comments. And if this story touched you, if it reminded you that no matter how heavy the lies get, the truth always rises, then don't stop here. Keep going. Watch the next video on your screen. Dive deeper into Johnny's journey, and while you're at it, dive deeper into your own. Because here's the bottom line. At 62, after betrayal, after money lost, after lies repeated again and again, Johnny Depp is still standing. He's still speaking. And his story is proof that it's never too late to reclaim your voice, your peace, and your truth. And if he can do it, so can you. And one last question for you, because I want to hear your thoughts. If you were Johnny Depp, what would you have done differently? Would you have stayed quiet longer? Would you have spoken up sooner? Or would you have handled betrayal, money, and lies in a completely different way? Drop your answers in the comments. And if this story moved you, if it reminded you of your own strength, then don't stop here. Check out the next video on your screen. It dives even deeper into Johnny's journey, from the highest highs of Hollywood to the darkest moments behind the scenes. Before you go, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear that no matter how heavy the lies get, the truth always rises, because Johnny Depp just proved something powerful. At 62, after everything he's faced, he's still standing. He's still speaking, and he's showing the world that it's never too late to reclaim your story.